June 12, 1944, an unrecorded clash erupted in northern France. American and British forces collided with German defenses in a fight so fierce, it could have changed history, and almost no one knows it happened. A Sherman tank rolls over shattered ground, tossing mud and debris. Soldiers dive into trenches, rifles raised. Explosions send timber and metal into the mist. The camera focuses on Captain Richard Cole's face, tense, focused, alive with adrenaline. The village was a ghost town, scarred by shells and abandoned homes. Fog twisted around broken barns, barbed wire, and craters filled with water and mud. Captain Cole crouched behind a collapsed stone wall, binoculars scanning the horizon. Every movement beyond the mist could be fatal. Beside him, Sergeant Thompson, a British commando, whispered, "Intel underestimated them. Trenches, fortified machine gun nests, and artillery hidden just beyond that ridge. We can't rush in blind." Cole's jaw tightened. "We hit first, hit hard, coordinated. That's the only chance we have." Across the foggy fields, flashes revealed German patrols moving silently between ruins. Cole raised his rifle, signaling the squad. The Americans and British advanced with precision, each step measured, hearts pounding. Every second was critical. A shot rang out. A German sniper had spotted movement. Machine guns erupted, tearing through fog, splintering wood, and ricocheting off rubble. Cole dove behind debris, firing bursts to suppress the enemy. Smoke, dust, and mud filled the air. Thompson's team flanked left, creeping behind toppled carts and collapsed fences, eliminating snipers with precise shots. On the right, American soldiers surged toward trenches, tossing grenades, clearing bunkers with bayonets and desperate courage. Explosions rocked the battlefield. A barn collapsed, splintering timber into the fog. Cole pressed forward, urging men to stay tight. The Germans were experienced, disciplined, and desperate, their orders shouted in harsh German, bullets cutting arcs through the mist. A Sherman tank rumbled into position, its cannon blazing at fortified positions. British mortars arced high, landing devastatingly among enemy trenches. German armor retaliated, a Panzer IV emerging from a tree line, gunfire tearing through mud and debris, cutting deadly paths across the battlefield. Cole ducked behind a shattered wall, helping wounded soldiers, returning fire. The battlefield had descended into chaos, a clash of three armies, each trying to outmaneuver the other. Every move could shift the front lines and potentially the entire campaign in northern France. He caught sight of another German machine gun nest, flanked by soldiers advancing behind debris. Cole gritted his teeth. He signaled forward, rallying the squad. "Push! We hit them hard or we die trying." The Americans surged. Thompson's British squad followed, their combined assault tearing into German defenses. Close-quarter combat erupted in trenches and ruined buildings. Bullets whined, grenades exploded, and the roar of tanks and artillery filled the air. Cole moved from cover to cover, rifle firing, swinging bayonet, and using crates for protection. Thompson tackled a German soldier attempting to flank them, throwing him into a pile of rubble. Another soldier attempted to fire from a window. Cole neutralized him with a single burst. Smoke and dust hung thick in the air, burning eyes and lungs. Mud-caked uniforms, rifles were slick with grime, but the squads pressed on relentlessly. The German defenses were formidable, but the chaos of a combined Allied assault created openings that demanded exploitation. Through the haze, Cole noticed movement at the far end of the village, a second machine gun nest, heavily camouflaged, guarding what seemed to be an old munitions supply. Cole's pulse quickened. This wasn't just a fight for a village, it was a battle that could tilt local operations, even influence supply routes and the wider campaign. He signaled a small squad to flank right, while he and the others suppressed the nest. Bullets streaked past, ricocheting off walls and stone. Thompson's team crawled under debris, grenades in hand. One exploded near the nest, tearing a hole in the fortification. German soldiers scrambled, shouting orders, returning fire. Cole charged forward, firing bursts, ducking under a shattered doorframe. His men pressed close, moving in a deadly rhythm. Close combat erupted, rifle butts slammed against helmets, bayonets clashed, and every man fought for survival. The chaos was relentless. Mortar shells arced overhead, landing with violent concussions. Tanks engaged each other, smoke and fire enveloping the ruined village. Shouts in English, German, and scattered commands rang out through the mist, punctuated by explosions and the screams of the wounded. Cole crouched behind rubble, helping a wounded soldier. He caught sight of another German sniper emerging on a rooftop. With a precise shot, he neutralized the threat. Around him, the battlefield was a tapestry of fire, destruction, and survival. Every decision mattered. Every step was life or death. Every bullet, every shout, and every explosion had the potential to change the outcome of this battle, and perhaps history itself. As Cole scanned the village, adrenaline surged. Stay close. Keep moving. We push or we die. And with that, the first hour of this untold battle had begun, a clash of three armies, where every man, every weapon, and every moment could alter the fate of the war. The smoke hung low over the shattered village, the acrid scent of gunpowder and churned earth mixing with the morning mist. Captain Cole's squad pressed forward, the fog and debris masking movement, but not danger. Every shadow could conceal a German rifle, every ruined wall a sniper's perch. From the north, a deafening roar shook the ground. A second Sherman tank rolled into the village, supporting the American infantry. Its gun barrel traced targets with lethal precision, tearing through German fortifications. But the Germans were not idle. A Panzer IV lurked in the forest line, firing coordinated volleys, metal scraping as rounds ricocheted off stone and timber. The clash of armor reverberated like thunder through the morning fog. Cole crouched behind a toppled cart, eyes flicking between his men and the advancing enemy. Thompson and his British commandos moved in tandem, flanking the Panzer's position. "We hit their flank, suppress the machine guns, and take that tank," Thompson whispered, his voice tight with tension. Cole nodded. Precision and timing were everything. Explosions rattled the village as mortar shells from British artillery landed among German trenches. The blast sent mud, debris, and bodies flying. Cole threw himself into a ditch for cover, rifle firing in controlled bursts. The Germans returned fire with relentless intensity, hiding in ruined barns and fortified walls. Suddenly, a German squad surged from a collapsed building on the left flank. Cole fired, his rifle bucking with each shot. Thompson's team tackled one soldier, while another tried to lob a grenade into the ditch. Cole dove, rolling to the side, and the grenade exploded behind him, sending shards of wood and mud into the air. The concussion rattled his teeth, but he remained alive, heart pounding. Through the fog, he spotted a group of American soldiers pinned down by machine gun fire. Cole sprinted across the debris-littered street, bullets striking stone walls beside him, ricocheting dangerously. Reaching the soldiers, he signaled them to advance under suppressive fire. Thompson's team provided cover, their rifles spraying precise bursts. The village was a living nightmare. Smoke and dust blurred the landscape. Bodies, both friend and foe, littered the streets. The clash of armor, the roar of artillery, and the screams of the wounded merged into a chaotic symphony of war. Every second demanded courage, skill, and split-second decision-making. Cole spotted a narrow alley to the right. "Move! Use that alley to flank their machine guns!" he yelled. Soldiers scrambled into cover, returning fire as they advanced. The alley was slick with mud, littered with shattered furniture and broken beams, each step treacherous. A German officer shouted orders, rallying his men to counterattack. 3 soldiers charged down the alley, rifles raised. Cole dropped the first with a precise burst, the second fell under Thompson's knife. The third soldier swung a rifle at Cole, who parried and shoved him into a pile of crates. Sparks flew as metal hit metal, echoing through the foggy village. From the north, artillery shells slammed into a nearby building, collapsing walls and burying several German soldiers. The Panzer IV fired again, cutting a swath through the street. Cole's squad ducked behind rubble as rounds shredded stone around them. Every heartbeat was survival, every breath measured. Thompson signaled Cole, pointing toward a German machine gun nest perched in the ruins of a barn. "That's their stronghold. If we neutralize it, we can push them out completely." Cole nodded, signaling a small assault team. They crawled low, rifle muzzles flicking fire in short bursts, each shot precise and deadly. Cole's team reached the barn, grenades in hand. He tossed one through a broken window. The explosion shattered timber and stone. Smoke, dust, and screams poured out. Emerging soldiers were cut down instantly. The nest fell silent. Victory came at a cost. American and British soldiers alike were wounded, blood mingling with mud in the trenches and alleyways. Beyond the barn, the Panzer IV continued to fire, forcing Cole to rethink the assault. "We can't stop now," he muttered. "The Germans will regroup. If we hesitate, we lose everything." Thompson signaled artillery to suppress the Panzer while Cole's team prepared to flank it. They moved swiftly, dodging debris and fire, approaching the forest edge where the tank hid. Thompson lobbed a Molotov, igniting fuel near the Panzer's treads. Smoke and flames erupted. Cole and his men opened fire, driving the remaining crew to abandon the tank. The village was partially secured, but the Germans were retreating to a secondary line of trenches and bunkers. Cole wiped sweat and grime from his brow. The first wave of chaos had passed, but the battle was far from over. Every step forward revealed more danger, more enemy forces, and more uncertainty. From the mist, Cole saw another glint, German reinforcements approaching from the east, including armored vehicles and infantry. The clash of three armies was escalating into a full-scale, unpredictable fight. Every decision mattered. Hesitation could mean annihilation. Cole looked at his squad, exhausted but determined. "We've gained ground, but the fight isn't done. They're regrouping. We press forward or risk losing everything." The second phase of the Untold battle had begun, more intense, more chaotic, and far more deadly. In this clash of three forces, every bullet, every explosion, and every maneuver could shift history in ways no one would record. The morning fog had thickened into a gray shroud over the village. Smoke from burning tanks and collapsed buildings choked the air. The stench of gunpowder, cordite, and blood hung heavily. Captain Richard Cole crouched behind a shattered wall, mud and debris coating his uniform. His eyes darted to every movement. The Germans were regrouping, faster than intelligence had predicted. From the west, a sudden volley of German rifle fire struck Cole's squad. American soldiers dropped into the mud, rifles belching smoke, while Thompson's British team returned fire from a half-collapsed building. Bullets tore through shattered timber, ricocheted off stone walls, and sprayed the rubble-strewn streets. Every second was measured in death and survival. Cole lunged across open ground, dragging a wounded soldier to cover. Mortar shells screamed overhead, slamming into the village with violent force. A nearby barn collapsed completely, burying 2 German soldiers and sending a cloud of dust into the fog. Cole signaled his squad forward. Hesitation was not an option. The Germans would exploit it instantly. From the rubble, a German machine gunner emerged, rifle flashing in the dim light. Cole fired, hitting him squarely in the chest. Sparks flew as bullets struck metal crates behind the gunner. Thompson flanked from the left, knife flashing, neutralizing another German attempting to take Cole's right. The ground shook again as a Panzer IV returned from cover, its cannon spitting fire across the street. The Americans and British ducked into trenches, rifle fire synchronized with suppressing mortars. The clash of armor and infantry created a symphony of chaos, bullets, screams, and explosions intertwining into a nightmarish rhythm. Cole's squad pressed into a narrow alley, the walls of collapsed buildings on either side. German forces were entrenched at the far end, guarding supplies and a small munitions depot. Cole signaled grenades. 1, 2, 3, thrown in perfect succession. Explosions ripped through the barricades, sending dust, wood, and bodies into the air. Smoke stung eyes, and mud covered every surface. Cole advanced, firing controlled bursts. Thompson followed close behind, dispatching 2 Germans who had survived the blast. Each moment was survival, each breath a calculated risk. Suddenly, an unexpected angle of attack. British forces to the north had engaged additional German reinforcements. Cole's attention split. He had to protect his squad while pushing the assault. Thompson motioned, and they moved as one unit, sweeping the street with rifles and bayonets, clearing enemy pockets methodically but violently. A German officer appeared atop a partially destroyed wall, pistol in hand. He fired at Cole's squad. Cole returned fire, but the officer dove behind debris, barking orders in German. From the shadows, 3 more soldiers emerged, rifles aimed, ready to halt the advance. Cole lobbed a grenade, the explosion sending them sprawling across the mud-slick street. The village was no longer recognizable. Craters from shellfire pocked the ground. Roofs collapsed into rubble. Trees were splintered by explosions. Tanks smoked, burning fuel turning into thick black clouds. Cole moved through it all, dragging wounded soldiers, giving commands, and maintaining control as chaos threatened to overwhelm him. A British commando signaled a flank maneuver. Cole saw the opportunity to cut off German reinforcements coming from the east. He led his squad through a narrow back alley, covering fire from Thompson's suppressing machine gun nests. Every step was nerve-wracking. The Germans had prepared hidden traps, sharp wire, and punji-like spikes that tore at uniforms and flesh alike. Cole's team reached a small plaza where German troops were regrouping. Mortars from the north landed precisely among their ranks. American rifle fire ripped through the remaining soldiers, while Cole's squad charged forward, closing the distance. Hand-to-hand combat erupted, rifle butts, bayonets, and fists colliding with brutal force. Amid the fight, Cole spotted a small cache of crates labeled in German. He realized these contained experimental munitions and possibly intelligence that the Germans had been protecting fiercely. Thompson covered him as Cole opened a crate. Inside were documents, detonators, and a strange mechanical device. Cole's eyes widened. This wasn't just a supply depot. The Germans were hiding something far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Before Cole could secure the items, a Panzer IV turret swiveled into the plaza, firing directly at their position. Cole threw himself behind a toppled wall, rifle blazing. Thompson's team tossed Molotovs, igniting fuel near the tank treads. Flames roared, smoke filled the plaza, and the tank crew abandoned their vehicle. The Germans counterattacked with renewed ferocity. Infantry rushed from collapsed buildings, firing with desperation. Cole's squad was stretched thin, every man covering multiple angles, some wounded, others exhausted. The fight had reached a brutal, almost cinematic crescendo, the kind that would shape history if survived. Cole glanced at the horizon. Reinforcements from both sides were approaching, American artillery, British infantry, and German reserves. The village had become a microcosm of the war itself, chaos, bravery, death, and chance all colliding in a single, violent moment. Cole steadied himself, eyes scanning the battlefield. "Hold your ground. We push together. Nothing stops us." The next wave of fire erupted. Explosions, screams, and metal collided in the streets. Each second was survival, each decision life or death. The untold battle raged, and every heartbeat could change the outcome of not just this village, but possibly the campaign in northern France. And somewhere in the shadows, Cole realized, the Germans were not finished. They had planned this carefully, hiding traps and reinforcements, and the fight was far from over. The smoke and fog of the ruined village clung to every corner, masking both danger and opportunity. Captain Richard Cole crouched behind a shattered wall, mud and debris smeared across his uniform. Every breath was thick with gunpowder and dust. Every heartbeat echoed the chaos surrounding him. The Germans had regrouped, their trenches reinforced with scavenged rubble and hastily constructed barricades. Yet Cole's men had tasted the momentum of their first successes, and they were not ready to yield. "Thompson!" Cole hissed, signaling to his British comrade. "We can flank from the eastern alley while the mortars keep their heads down. That Panzer IV won't survive another hit if we coordinate." Thompson nodded, eyes narrowing with focus. Both squads moved like predators through the ruined streets, taking advantage of every shadow, every crater, every obstacle to approach unseen. The Germans, however, were not idle. Snipers and machine gunners lined the rooftops, firing at intervals to slow the Allied advance. Cole ducked behind a toppled crate, rifle spitting fire, bullets ricocheting around the debris-filled street. A sudden blast shook the ground. A mortar from the Northern American line landed perfectly within a German stronghold. Dust, stone, and splinters exploded into the fog, momentarily blinding and disorienting the enemy. Cole seized the chance. "Forward! Now!" he shouted. The squads surged into the chaos. American soldiers moved in tight formation, bayonets ready, rifles barking precise bursts. Thompson and his commandos flanked through the alley, clearing trenches and rubble with brutal efficiency. German soldiers fought back fiercely, but the combined pressure from multiple angles began to tear at their defenses. Cole ducked low as a German officer attempted a counterattack with a pistol. With a swift burst from his rifle, the threat was neutralized. Thompson dispatched another enemy soldier attempting to ambush them from a rooftop, the knife flashing in the smoky light. Explosions erupted all around as grenades tore through barricades, sending dirt, stone, and splintered wood flying in every direction. From the village square, the Panzer IV lurked ominously, firing in deadly arcs. Cole's heart pounded. "Focus fire! Bring it down!" He signaled his squad to coordinate with the British mortars. Flames erupted from the tank's treads as Molotovs ignited fuel near its base. Smoke and fire enveloped the armor, forcing the crew to abandon it. The tank went silent, a scorched reminder of the intensity of the battle. Amid the chaos, Cole noticed a partially collapsed building where German reinforcements were gathering. He signaled a detachment to cut them off. The squad moved with fluid precision, weaving through rubble, mud, and debris, rifles and bayonets at the ready. The enemy tried to regroup, but Cole's assault was relentless. Grenades flew, walls collapsed, and German soldiers fell, unable to resist the coordinated pressure from two sides. Suddenly, a shrill whistle pierced the air. The Germans had prepared traps. Claymore mines buried beneath rubble detonated, sending shrapnel and dirt into the air. Cole dove behind a toppled wall, pulling a wounded comrade to safety. Thompson and the others neutralized the remaining enemy soldiers with brutal efficiency. Smoke, blood, and debris filled the alleyways, leaving a scene of sheer devastation. Cole pushed forward, the fog and dust swirling around him. Every corner presented another threat: snipers, hidden trenches, and ambush points. Each step demanded acute awareness, as even a momentary lapse could mean death. He fired, dove, and moved with his squad, each action measured against the deadly ballet of bullets, explosions, and smoke. The eastern alley proved decisive. Thompson's squad emerged behind the German line, cutting off reinforcements attempting to reach the Panzer IV. Cole's men advanced in tandem, clearing the remaining strongholds with precise rifle fire and calculated charges. Every German soldier that resisted fell under the coordinated fury of the American-British assault. From above, the sky roared with artillery. Allied shells fell in perfect arcs, decimating bunkers, trenches, and hidden machine gun nests. The Germans were faltering, their lines collapsing under the relentless pressure. Cole, panting and coated in mud, watched as the village that had once seemed impenetrable became a battlefield of ruins and casualties, shifting in favor of the Allies. Yet even with the victory in sight, danger remained. A secondary panzer detachment appeared on the horizon, and scattered German infantry attempted last-ditch counterattacks. Cole gritted his teeth. "Hold positions! We finish this, no matter what!" The squads fought with ferocity unmatched, bullets screaming, grenades exploding, and tanks engaging in a deadly duel. Cole's leadership, Thompson's precision, and the relentless pressure of the combined American and British forces began to tip the balance. By mid-afternoon, the tide had shifted. German forces were retreating, leaving behind destroyed fortifications, burned vehicles, and the silence of the aftermath. Cole surveyed the battlefield, exhaustion and adrenaline mingling. Every step forward had been paid in blood. Every victory had been hard fought. But the battle was not fully won. The village was scarred, the enemy still alive and dangerous, and the hidden threats within the ruins, munitions, explosives, and potentially devastating weapons still lurked. Cole knew this was only the first decisive step in a conflict that could alter history. He lowered himself behind the shattered wall, rifle in hand, eyes scanning the horizon. The turning point had been reached, but the Untold battle was far from over. Every man, every decision, and every shot would now determine not only who survived but who would control the fate of this strategic village, and perhaps influence the campaign in northern France. The village lay in ruins, fog and smoke mixing with the acrid scent of gunpowder and blood. Captain Richard Cole crouched behind a shattered wall, mud streaked across his face. His squad was battered, exhausted, but adrenaline and necessity drove them forward. Every step was a fight for survival, every breath a gamble against the relentless German resistance. The remnants of the German forces had fortified the last line of defense, a network of trenches, hidden machine gun nests, and a small Panzer IV positioned behind rubble for cover. Cole scanned the battlefield, calculating their approach. "This is it," he muttered. "We push hard or we lose everything we've gained." Thompson signaled from the left flank. "Cole, if we coordinate, we can hit their machine guns and trenches simultaneously. Take the tank, suppress their infantry, and the village is ours." Cole nodded, his jaw set with grim determination. The assault began. Artillery shells from the north screamed overhead, crashing into German positions, sending clouds of dirt, wood, and debris into the air. Cole's squad surged forward, rifles and bayonets ready, moving from cover to cover through the rubble-strewn streets. Every footfall was measured, every movement deadly precise. Suddenly, a German sniper opened fire from a half-collapsed building. Cole dropped low, returning fire while Thompson's team advanced to flank the shooter. The sniper fired again, but Thompson neutralized him with a single calculated shot. The American and British soldiers pressed onward, every second bringing them closer to the German stronghold. A Panzer IV rumbled behind a wall of rubble, its cannons spitting death. Cole signaled the squad to coordinate with British mortars. Explosions erupted, igniting fuel near the tank's treads. Flames engulfed the vehicle, forcing the crew to abandon it as bullets tore through the air. The tank went silent, a scorched reminder of the deadly intensity of the fight. The German infantry, desperate and cornered, launched a final counterattack. Soldiers poured from hidden trenches, grenades in hand, firing with ruthless determination. Cole's squad met them head-on. Rifle butts collided, bayonets clashed, and hand-to-hand combat erupted in a blur of blood, mud, and adrenaline. Cole dove behind a toppled cart, firing at advancing soldiers, dragging a wounded comrade to cover. Thompson moved alongside him, cutting down enemies with brutal efficiency. Explosions shook the ground, sending debris flying, obscuring vision and making every step a dangerous gamble. From the far end of the village, another squad of Germans emerged, attempting to flank Cole's position. He raised his rifle, signaling his men to focus fire. Bullets tore through the air, cutting down the approaching soldiers before they could close the distance. Thompson's team moved to intercept, eliminating any remaining threats. Cole's squad reached the final trench network. Inside, the Germans had fortified themselves with machine guns, ammo caches, and improvised barricades. Cole threw a grenade through a broken wall. The explosion sent wood and debris flying, disorienting the defenders. His men charged, rifles blazing, cutting through the remaining resistance. Close combat erupted. Cole grappled with a German officer attempting to detonate explosives within the trench. They struggled violently, dust and smoke choking the air. Cole gained the upper hand, neutralizing the officer and securing the explosives before detonation. Thompson dispatched another enemy soldier trying to fire from a rooftop. The battlefield was chaos incarnate, blood, mud, and smoke merging into a horrific symphony of war. As the village fell, Cole surveyed the destruction. The Germans had been decimated. Traces of Panzer shells, demolished buildings, and smoldering vehicles marked their retreat. The combined American and British forces had pushed them back decisively, but at a terrible cost. Corpses littered the streets, both friend and foe, and the survivors were exhausted, battered, and shell-shocked. Cole knew the battle was not fully over. Hidden explosives, munitions, and the possibility of reinforcements still loomed. Yet, this final assault had broken the backbone of German resistance in the village. Momentum now favored the Allies, but vigilance remained critical. He pulled Thompson close. "We've won this fight, but this village, it could have turned into a tomb if we hesitated. The Germans fought to the last man." Thompson nodded, eyes scanning the horizon. "History doesn't even know this fight happened. If we fail here, it could have changed the campaign in northern France entirely." Cole raised his rifle, signaling to regroup and secure remaining positions. Tanks and artillery moved in to cover the area. Soldiers cleared debris, tended to the wounded, and took prisoners. Every man was aware that while this assault was decisive, the war was far from over. The village, once a symbol of German fortifications and deadly precision, now lay in Allied hands. The final assault had been brutal, chaotic, and merciless, a testament to the ferocity of combat and the courage of the soldiers who had fought in the shadows of history. As Cole looked across the ruins, he realized that this battle, unrecorded in official history, had shifted momentum in the northern France campaign. Every life lost, every bullet fired, had contributed to a turning point that few would ever know. The Allies had won this engagement, but the echoes of battle, the smoke, the debris, and the blood-soaked streets, would linger far longer than the victory itself. And somewhere, the surviving Germans would regroup, waiting for the next clash that could again alter the course of the war. Cole lowered his rifle, exhausted, mud and blood covering him. The final assault had ended, but the war pressed on, and history had been quietly, irrevocably changed. The smoke of battle lingered like a heavy fog, twisting over the ruined village. Buildings were splintered, roofs collapsed, streets cratered from shellfire. Captain Richard Cole stood amid the devastation, rifle slung over his shoulder, eyes scanning the battlefield. Silence settled in an eerie, uneasy way, the kind that follows chaos. The surviving soldiers, American and British alike, moved slowly, tending to the wounded, dragging bodies out of the streets, and securing captured German weapons and supplies. The village was theirs, but at a cost that weighed heavily. Mud, blood, and smoke coated every surface. The air was thick with the metallic tang of gunpowder, sweat, and loss. Cole moved through the streets, checking on squads, giving orders to fortify positions. Every corner told a story of heroism, desperation, and brutality. Thompson knelt beside a wounded soldier, administering first aid, while others secured the remaining German prisoners. Cole's mind raced as he realized the scale of what had just occurred. An untold battle, fierce and decisive, had silently shifted the campaign in northern France. From the horizon, smoke rose from burnt-out Panzer IVs and destroyed artillery. The surviving Germans had retreated in disarray, abandoning supplies, munitions, and intelligence. Cole knew that their retreat, forced by this fierce and coordinated Allied assault, could alter supply lines, delay reinforcements, and give strategic advantage to the advancing forces. Thompson approached, wiping blood from his hands. "Cole, this wasn't just a village fight. If we hadn't acted, the Germans could have held here for weeks, delaying our push. History might have been very different." Cole nodded, eyes heavy but determined. "Every decision, every bullet fired, every grenade thrown, it mattered. And no one outside this village will ever know it." He walked to the center of the square, surveying the aftermath. Rubble, broken carts, shattered walls, and burned vehicles littered the scene. Yet despite the devastation, the village's capture meant the Allies now controlled a crucial position in northern France, opening routes for further advances into German-held territory. Suddenly, Cole noticed a group of Allied soldiers uncovering crates hidden beneath rubble. Inside were documents, maps, and communication devices. The Germans had been hiding intelligence, plans, troop movements, and strategic details. Cole realized that the battle had not only been a fight for territory, but a silent acquisition of knowledge that could save countless lives in future engagements. As the sun struggled to pierce the lingering smoke, Cole gathered his men. Exhaustion, adrenaline, and grief mingled in their expressions. Some had lost friends, some bore wounds visible and invisible. Yet there was a collective recognition. Their actions had changed the course of the campaign. Thompson spoke softly, almost to himself. "This is one of those moments no history book will record. Yet we were here. We fought. And it mattered." Cole scanned the horizon. The Germans were gone for now, but he knew reinforcements would come, and the larger war was far from over. Yet the victory here, in this ruined village, had shifted momentum. It was a pivotal moment, unrecorded, yet undeniably significant. As Cole prepared to report to headquarters, he allowed himself a brief reflection. The battle had been brutal, chaotic, and merciless. Every soldier had fought with courage and determination. Every maneuver, flanking, and assault had shaped the outcome. And while the world might never know, history had quietly been redirected in those fog-filled streets. In the days that followed, Allied forces used the village as a staging point. Supplies captured from German stockpiles facilitated further advances. Morale soared among the troops who had survived the harrowing engagement. Yet, for Cole, the battle would remain etched in memory, not for glory, but for the raw intensity, the lives lost, and the unrecorded heroism displayed in every corner of the village. The Untold battle had ended, leaving behind ruins, scars, and a quiet victory that few would ever acknowledge. Captain Cole and his men had fought bravely, decisively, and unseen, shaping history in ways the world would never fully understand. The fog lifted slightly, revealing the destroyed village beneath the morning sun, and with it, the silent testament to courage, strategy, and sacrifice. Cole lowered his rifle, shoulders heavy with the weight of survival and responsibility. The Untold story was over, but its consequences would echo far beyond this ruined village, shaping the final direction of the European campaign and reminding all who fought here that sometimes, the greatest battles are the ones history forgets.